What's going on, everybody? Wilson here, your spiritual hype man, and super happy to be back. I'm super happy you guys are here listening. I'm super happy to also see the insights that people are still continuing to listen. People just are obviously aligning and realigning with some of the words and thoughts and the things that we've shared with other people. So I'm happy to see that. That's just positive reinforcement all the time in terms of what we're doing, building the community. So thank you guys for being amazing and following through and staying tuned. Obviously, as we continue to navigate this thing that we're building and creating. What's been going on? Well, let's just start for any new listener. Just to re-emphasize and reiterate, nothing changes until you do. Right. The thought is continuing to become aware and grow the awareness around our own self consciousness to really realize the things that we want to keep changing about ourselves or improving, right? So which is obviously change in essence, but moving towards the reality or the things that we really want to have, feel. Ultimately at the end of the day is feel, right? So these things that we want to have ultimately lead to things that we want to feel. And at the end of the day, like really just figuring out who we are as the individual, as the person. And this is the first time I've done this in a minute without a guest. So I'm super excited to be on here, sharing some of my aha moments and some thoughts that I've had most recently. And some of the things I want to share with you is as far as where I'm at, my own internal self, in terms of mindset and where I'm at, things like that. So it's been quite a few weeks. A couple of things have happened. We went to Chicagoland area to visit a good friend of mine slash client. Her name is Dr. Bot. You know, I'm very impressed with who she is as the individual. We've been linked in and aligned for a couple of years now. We've gone up there a couple times to film for her. And every time we talk, she's very aligned. Like when I spoke with her about Nothing Changes Until You Do, it's something that speaks to her and is very aligned with her, right? So it's something that we've done. She's starting her own podcast. It's called Bubbling with Bot. She's going to be talking about similar thoughts and ideas, but also really centered around the medical practice. She's a veterinarian, a doctor. She's pretty fantastic up there in terms of what she does with patients and clients, as far as treating pets in certain ways. She does both Eastern and Western sort of medicine on it. Very interesting character, as far as the individual. She loves to dance. She's a very empath, and she can feel the things that go on with animals and even their handlers. So that was a great experience. Um, a couple of things that I've gotten from just the last couple of weeks of just again sort of taking it all in, feeling certain ways, and experience a couple things. My big aha moment that came from me from traveling, and again, before I go into that, I just want to remind any new listeners or just reiterate the fact nothing changes until you do. Really, is just the thought of again progressing. Remember, it's the thoughts in our head. It's what we're thinking in the moment, and whether are we present? Are we thinking about the past? Are we thinking about the future? And then where does that take us, right? So we really just have to be really good at prompting ourselves when we're not feeling good, and there's moments of that happen throughout life. It's just like a cycle. So when these things happen, we really just have to take a step back and really just figure out, okay, like why am I feeling this way? What can I prompt myself? What can I do other than thinking or trying or being in this state to get myself out of it? And sometimes it's hard. It's harder. It's harder. Sometimes it's harder to do so. So I would say when it becomes hard and you can't just change or prompt yourself a different question and you're stuck in it, I would say the easiest way is to force yourself, biohack, go do something physical, right? Once you do something physical, everything else changes. Your mood definitely changes. Just the science to it, right? So science. But going back to my aha moment, and this is the thing I wanted to talk about today and really shed some light on it is um this one's almost as like if not more major than the influence, thought, emotion, action, decision, outcome. um for any new listeners, or just again to reiterate, influence creates thoughts, thoughts create emotions, emotions then drive these actions or decisions, and then these decisions get us to an outcome, right? And that's all life is. It's just we go from situation to situation that becomes an outcome, and then another outcome, and it's just a cycle of situations, and then just decision making. So it's why am I making this decision? This decision leads me to X. I don't like X or I do like X, so let me keep doing this decision or let me not make this decision the next time this thing comes back around. Obviously life is so simple yet complicated because we do have so many verticals of life. And I think we probably have a lot more now than we used to have back when in terms of like historical sense. But because there's so much going on at so many times, sometimes we revert to like auto response, like what an auto response decision. And that auto response decision comes from again influence thoughts, emotions, and then what your auto response to that is. So that being said, that's one of the things that has driven, NCYD, nothing changes until you do, for the longest. And that's something that I've used as far as, self discipline and self reflection to actually go through a journey. It's crazy because like my journey, and I think I've talked about this in earlier episodes, has, obviously everyone has a hard time or they have their own story. But I think when I share my story with some people and I share all my stories, sometimes the people are like, wow, it's kind of incredible that you've made such a change from some of the decisions and actions that I've taken in my previous decades ago. So I can't wait to keep, going into that and really using that as a platform to help other people while they're going through it or if they're still going through something like that. So that's my journey moving forward. But here's the big aha. Okay, so here's the bigger I don't want to say bigger aha, but definitely equal of like, wow, this made so much sense to me. While I was out in the Chicagoland area, I there was a couple days where I was just feeling like what like again, we fall into these times or these just moments of that. And for me, it was this. It was okay, what am I Okay, here it is. Simply, if time is all we actually have, right? So we all have 24 hours in a day. If this is true, right? That all we have is time, because it is really all we have is this thing that we understand to be time, and it just keeps moving forward and progressively. We keep getting either, wiser, better, or we stay where we're at, or we just regress. But the idea would be to keep progressing, right? But here's the thing. If all we have is time, then to me, logically, the questions that we need to answer is, who do you want to spend your time with? What do you want to be doing with your time? How is the other, right? How do you make that happen? Right? So obviously the why, we already, you got to establish the where. Okay, where do you want to do it? And it can be right, Florida, Abu Dhabi, doesn't fucking matter. Like we just have to answer all these questions. Where, but I would say like the where is not as important. And I don't want to say not as important. Like the where can be done wherever, right? Like it can be done wherever. So I think you have to answer who first, what, you know, and then how. Okay. Because I think the what kind of puts in the where, right? So like what do I want to do and where? So I would say who, what, where, how are you going to do it? And then I think the why is really already in you. Like we already have our why. Like there's a reason why we're doing things, right? And at the end of the day, and I've spoken about this before, it's just we want to feel a certain way. Um, right? Like you want to feel loved, you want to feel included, you want to feel appreciated. There's certain feelings that I think at the end of the day everybody just wants to feel, and that's just a commonality. Once you figure that out, so that was my big aha moment. I was like, okay, oh shit, okay. So I was like, if all we have is time, then really all we got to answer is like, who do I want to spend it with? What do I want to be doing? Where do I want to be doing it? And how do I get it done? How do I make it happen? And that was kind of like, and it's still a big fucking aha moment because to a certain extent, yes, there are things that like check off those boxes. But I think if I go back and I look at certain things that I've done or I'm still doing, I'm like, that's not really what I want to do. Like, you know what I mean? It's not really where I want to spend my time. So now I'm in this moment of like, of everything that is sort of happening, my situations, right? Like in terms of you go from situation to situation to situation, and these moments that are presented in front of us, these outcomes, I'm starting to revert back to that question is like, is this really what I want to do with my time? Because if that's all I have, then why would I want to do this if I don't want to do it? And if I don't want to be like do it with this person or do it with this situation or this where or this how, like why would I do this? And so I think the answer to that question is like if you don't keep that as part of your like conscious and doesn't then become part of your being as far as like how you make decisions, right? Your influence, your thoughts and your emotions, you don't make that part of your thing, then you revert back to certain automatic responses, right? Especially like for me, I've understood it's just business. Like, okay, like I want to make that money, and who doesn't want to make that money? Um, but again, to a certain extent, it's like you can make that money anywhere, anyhow. And so many people have proven it around this that you don't necessarily need to do what you're doing. Now, it's going to be tough. I think as far as like switching careers or switching things or moving into a different direction, I feel like it's always going to be tough, right? But I feel like the biggest thing for me is like like knowing the individual, knowing yourself, and really answering the questions like, okay, who do I want to hang out with? Who do I want to spend my time with? Like, and what do I want to be doing with that time, you know? And so I feel like it's a super powerful thing to really start incorporating in your own mental, reference or uh check back or whatever vocabulary word you want to use, but really it's like, okay, all we have is time. Then what do I want to do with it? Who do I want to spend it? Where do I want to be, right? Um and then start from there, just kind of like the same thing, influence, thoughts, emotions, actions, outcome. Start from there, start be like, okay, who do I want to hang out with? Like, who do I want to spend most of my time with? And for the people, like, I wrote my list. Like, I have a list. Like, I started writing my list, so it was incredible because like some of the people that I added on this list, I don't spend that much time with. Like, part of it was my family. Like, yeah, they live in New Jersey, but that doesn't mean I can't fucking, spend a $200 plane ticket and go for like a long weekend. So that doesn't make sense to me where it's like if I'm writing these people on my list for the people that I want to spend the most time with, like out of my own time, then why am I not doing it? Right. And that was like a big aha moment. And so Dr. Bot, Priya Bot, she was on the list because I was like, man, I do enjoy hanging out with her and being out here. So like that was cool. So that made me happy to be out there while doing work, right? Like while filming for her. And so same thing, filming and creating like videos for clients. That's definitely a component. I've realized that it's a component of what I like to do. Like I love to be creative. I love to enjoy my thought process in terms of how can we create attention or grab attention and then create something funny or something along those lines that people are going to be like, that makes sense, I like that. So I've realized that that's part of something of what I want to be doing as well. But there's a lot more that I added to my list that I'm not doing or I have done and I haven't fully gone in. So this obviously is one of them, and I think this is leading to the next step, growth, evolution of what I want to do. And for me, and actually this will probably be the first time most people may hear it, like obviously you as a listener, as a supporter, as a team member of the community. um I want to move towards helping people with creative direction and then like being the spiritual hype man. So I feel like there's a need for people to connect with an individual like myself to feel good about themselves, find the confidence that they're looking for, and then just help like me helping them or helping you or anyone else that may need some help aligning themselves and maybe just going through some of these things that I've gone through like prospectively to help you get on a path or help you create a plan for a couple action items, whether it's mental, physical, emotional. I think not I think I know I keep saying I think, but I know that's where I'm meant to be. And that's the second thing. So the second aha was I recently talked to another good friend of mine. Her name is Rhonda. She's a psychiatrist, but also in the whole wellness, like additional wellness. So not just psychiatry in terms of medicine, but she's looking at other factors and other sciences and other things to work on to help with depression. So I met with her and it was a great conversation. And one of the other aspects that I want to do is like I connect with energies and frequencies. I believe that's science backed anyway, right? Like frequencies, like we know that's true. So there's a frequency to who we are and what we're doing at the time in terms of how we're feeling, right? And so I between that the frequency and then certain things like astrology, like I promise you, not like I look at astrology every day all the time, but I do use it, and I feel like there's a certain nuance to reflecting or like seeing what potentially the stars, alignments, latitude, longitude. So there's this thing called birth natal charts, which I've done in the past, and I've taken into me when I do my birth natal chart based on where I was born, the date I was born, where I was born, and the time. It broke down myself as the individual, and again, like I was like, this is unbelievable. Like I couldn't believe it until I did it, and I'm like, yeah, that fucking hits pretty much everything. Um, so again, like that would be something that I would want to use, or I'd want to like add to my arsenal to really get a chance to like go to that next level of just connecting the individual and potentially seeing if it aligns. Be like, look, based on your birth natal chart, here's kind of does this resonate? Does this align with you? And um and so I did that with Rhonda, and it was to the T. She was like, "Can you send me this?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So again, the point to this though is when I met with her and we did her birth natal chart and everything was spot on aligned, it all aligned with what she was doing. Okay, so like like she had goosebumps twice. Like we spoke, we were having a meeting, and she had goosebumps twice. I had goosebumps once because I was like, whoa, and it again reinforced for me because like what everything I went through it with her, and everything that hit home with her, and it aligned, and I visually can clearly see that it aligns because she's doing what she's supposed to be doing. And so like it was pretty incredible. And so that really reinforced um if you as the individual, and again, not saying that you can't, like just because you're born in a certain situation or location doesn't mean that you can't go do something that's opposite of whatever your birth natal chart says. That's not what I'm saying. But I think what I am saying is if it aligns with you, and there's certain things that like you have deep down inside and you don't know what that is or where it comes from, whether it's volunteering, whether it's science based facts, or healing, or fill in the blank, whatever that means, art, being an artist, like expressing yourself through art, like there are so many things that like an individual can do. But I feel like when you're doing those things that you're aligned with, the things that like you want to spend your time doing with the people that you want to do them with, there's just there's no there's no reason why you wouldn't grow, and there's no reason why you wouldn't succeed in these verticals or factors of success when it comes to finances, building a business, just making your own fucking making your own money and making enough of it to to live and do whatever you need to do. Like there's levels of it, right? But to me, looking at Rhonda, she started in 2023, and she's aligned with what it was saying, like what she feels strongly about. And it's 2025, and she's crushing it. She's killing it because she's got over 400 psychiatric patients that um, come to her to not only for medicine, but come to her for like therapy. And that's what she was aligned, in her birth natal chart doing. So again, that's something that I am working and progressing to. I would love to hear feedback. I'm going to have a website soon, whether it's going to be NCUID or just my personal website for myself, um, or it just could be linked from there. So I'll keep you guys updated. Thanks for listening. I really hope that hits home, right? So overall, like summary, there's two big things come from this episode. One, all we have is time. Who do you want to spend it with? What do you want to do with it? Where do you want to do it? And then why? Well, how is really, you got to figure out the how. And can you do it overnight? Sure, you can do it overnight. Is it going to take some time? Sure, it can take some time. But I think if you start there, then you can really start figuring out what are the things that I'm currently doing that don't align with what I want to spend my time doing, and what's missing, right? Or like, or where's the misalignment, right? So for me, the misalignment again was I want to spend more time with my family, like my brothers and stuff like that. And yet they live in Jersey, and I've only seen them once in the last whatever year. I do speak with them on the phone, but that's not really spending. Well, I guess it is spending time with them. But that's that. And then the second thing is really just understanding that or being open to maybe frequencies and energies and maybe some astrology here and there, just to give you like a different perspective, and or comma slash just really understanding who you are as the individual, and then understanding if that is if you are doing what you actually want to be doing. And if it's not the case, then again, going back to figuring out how do you want to spend your time. All right. Well, that being said, I appreciate the time that you took today to listen. I appreciate you as an individual. Thank you guys for continuing to download and watch and share. And we're going to keep doing what we're doing here. And until next time, we'll see you guys again on the next one. And don't forget, nothing changes until you do. Peace.